So what is yeast? Time for me to go on a wild yeast chase.
Somewhere in here is my yeast expert.
I'm looking for a man who has one of the strangest jobs in the food industry.
There he is, the natural habitat of the yeast expert.
Dr. Steve James is from the Institute of Food Research. He and his team spend their days foraging for wild yeast, everywhere from the Galapagos to the Antarctic.
In a woodland environment, where would you find yeast?
On this tree, for starters, in the soil, on the ferns over there. We can't see it, and we will need a microscope to help us do that. But, yeah, it's literally everywhere. We are surrounded by yeast at this moment in time.
Wow, so can we go on a little adventure and find some?
Steve has over 4,000 different strains of yeast in his collection, which is sold to everyone from winemakers to cake manufacturers. And he finds it in the most surprising places.
Oh, that'd be an excellent source of yeast, Jimmy.
Big old rotten stumps. Is this good for yeast?
Yes, because the tree's breaking down, so it's as it rots.
Yeah.
You're getting all the nutrients of the tree are leaching out, and this is perfect foods for the yeast.
I want to know what these microscopic fungi look like.
This is a yeast that is used to make ale beer.
OK, so that's a brewer's yeast then,
That's a brewer's yeast, absolutely. And this one was, in fact, isolated from British oak.
Wow.
There's yeast on oak, including the yeast that is used to make beer and bread.
Really? So the yeast that we use for making our bread and our beer originally came from an oak tree?
It's believed to be, yeah, absolutely. You can find that yeast on oaks across the globe.
Wow, that's incredible, isn't it? So this species of yeast could be on the tree right now?
Indeed.
I thought I just saw it run up this little hole.
Absolutely. Indeed.
Now, commercial yeast can't be foraged each morning from the forest, so I've come to Felixstowe, home to the UK's largest yeast factory, to see how it's mass-produced.
Hello, Jimmy.
How you doing?
I'm fine, you?
I'm good.
Plant manager Rickard Rodge is going to show me how yeast can be grown on an industrial scale. Here they produce yeast for most of the major supermarket breads and for some of the country's top distilleries.
I want to find out how you take something so simple and grow it on an industrial scale.
I'm going to show you that. Basically, we grow from this.
What, that small amount?
That small amount, 1 gram. We put it into those fermenters, and after 48 hours, we can make 1 kilo. And in another 48 hours, we get to 13 tons.
So what is the process from turning 1 gram of yeast into 1 kilo in 48 hours? What do you have to do?
Very simple. You only have to feed the yeast sugar.
And for this, they use molasses, a syrupy byproduct of sugar production.
So in 48 hours, will I be about 24 foot tall?
Put simply, these yeast cells eat the sugar, and this makes them grow and divide like crazy until all the sugar's gone.
It looks like spaghetti! Rickard, who do you make this yeast for?
This one is for bread making.
All the yeast they produce here is grown from a bank of specially selected starter cultures.
Wow, look at all these then! Baker's yeast for making bread.
We also have some from beer, wine, and also some for distilleries. They are different strains, they have different genetic profiles, and they are good for different things.
So, Rickard, if I was a customer and I phoned you up and said, look, I want to make a beer and I want it nice and fruity...
I would choose this one here.
This one here? So why would you choose that yeast over, say, a baker's yeast or a distiller's yeast?
Because you want to make beer that tastes like beer.
So the yeast can influence the
taste,
flavour?
of
OK.
course.
So you've got to choose your yeast carefully.
The right one, yes.